In the world today, there are about 70 million deaf people. In America, there are 38,255,590 people who are deaf or hard of hearing. American Sign Language is the fourth most used language in America. With statistics like these, it doesn't sound like deaf people would be considered a minority, but compared to the 255,817,410 hearing Americans, they are. America prides itself on being a mixing pot of different cultures and peoples, being made up of many different minorities. After interviewing 4 people of different minorities or disadvantaged groups, I learned a lot about their experiences growing up and how many of them had found many positive aspects to being in a minority. This was mostly attributed to the fact that each of them had found a smaller sub-community of people like them. Each of them also found these connections to a smaller community through encouragement by their most basic in-group, their family. When someone whose parents are African American is born, they are also African American. They are raised in this community, and they are often introduced to other people of this community by their parents and family. When someone whose parents are Jewish is born, they are often raised Jewish and are, in turn, raised in a community. You get the idea. But what about someone who's born deaf? More than 90% of deaf children are born to hearing parents. That means, out of every 10 children, 9 of them are born into a world where their most basic gateway to understanding their identity is missing. Because so many deaf children are born to hearing parents, it, by default, makes it more difficult for the community to connect together. It also makes it more difficult for the community to survive at all. Many hearing parents choose to have their children undergo surgery to receive a cochlear implant so they can hear just like them. In some ways, it may seem like this is the better solution, perhaps even the easier solution for the hearing parents. There would be no need to change the way they live their lives, and rather than having to learn about the deaf world in sign language, they could simply bring their children into the hearing world. However, it's not that simple. There are many things that could and do go wrong with this surgery. Risks of cochlear implant surgery include injury to the person's facial nerve that can result in facial paralysis, cerebrospinal fluid leakage due to the hole that was drilled to place the implant, meningitis, tinnitus, and infection. Sometimes the surgery even leads to death. Unlike other surgeries that are deemed necessary to save someone's life, undergoing cochlear implant surgery is purely elective. Is it right to have a child undergo something that could even be considered cosmetic? Unfortunately, it's not black and white. There are arguments for both sides. But in the end, is it right for a parent to make this decision? Is it right for a hearing parent to think about things from the perspective of the hearing world when making their decision? Medical professionals often don't help answer these questions. Cochlear implants are often pushed on parents without giving them the opportunity to learn about other options, or those other options are made to sound less appealing. Phrases like, "Your child will never succeed," "You can't teach your child ASL, it will delay their speech," and other lies are unfortunately common, both from the general public and even from the medical community. It is also important to understand that cochlear implants are not a cure for deafness. When an individual takes the implant off their ear, they still cannot hear. They are still deaf. You may have noticed that I capitalized the word deaf. I did this on purpose. It's important to understand that little d deaf refers to the state of deafness, whereas the big D deaf refers to the culture and community. Someone can say that they are little d deaf without being big D deaf. Anyone who is deaf, however, can choose to be a part of this larger community and culture. That, to many deaf individuals, is an integral part of their identity. By not introducing their deaf children to the deaf world, hearing parents are actually denying their child a part of themselves. Many deaf people have told me about how they feel invalidated, and as if they weren't good enough because they were forced to try and live in the hearing world when, inevitably, that's not where they belonged. In history, deaf people have been denied things as simple as language and communication. Not too long ago, it wasn't uncommon for deaf students to be told they were not allowed to sign in class. Instead, they were told to lip read and sent to speech therapy, interrupting their actual classes. Only about 30 to 40% of English is distinguishable using lip reading, meaning as much as 70% of oral communication is missed by a skilled lip reader. Expecting a deaf person to live in the hearing world as a hearing person is not right. You literally cannot expect a deaf person to hear. Things as important as smoke detectors or as simple as doorbells are all made with the hearing in mind, even though with simple adjustments they could be made accessible for the deaf too. This is why having a deaf world is so important. Just like for all other minority groups and for the people I interviewed, smaller community groups are vital. They contain a degree of understanding, accommodation, and custom that the larger majority cannot provide. It might not be easy for hearing parents to find their way into a foreign world. It might not be obvious on how to find their way either. But it is vital for parents to still be this gateway for their children. At first, it might be hard to accept that your child will never be the same as you in all the ways you expected. They will face different challenges and have different experiences than you. But that is a gift. Your child is not sick, he is not lesser, she is not unsuccessful. They do not need to hear to accomplish great things. In fact, even more so than you may realize. Minority influence is the term for when an individual from a minority group influences a majority group member to accept the minority's beliefs or behaviors. When a majority member influences the minority, it results in conformity and compliance. When a minority member influences the majority, however, it results in conversion and change. Without minorities, the world would be static. Minorities are the converters. They are the change makers, the groundbreakers, the leaders of the revolution. Your deaf child, or deaf neighbor, or deaf colleague is an individual who will shake up the uniform ideas of the majority and make great things happen. So, remember how important all minorities are and how important the deaf world is. If we were all the same, there would never be any progress, and the world could always use some new revolutionary things.